Hello and welcome to the Shakedown. Our mission is to inform people about how the criminal justice system works, the real people impacted by the justice system, and methods to improve justice through compassionate and casual conversation. Hosts of the Shakedown share over 50 years of combined personal experience dealing with Texas prisons and working to change the criminal justice system. And now, here's our show.
Welcome to the Shakedown, and today I have a special guest with me, someone else another Stringfellow alumni, Mr. Brandon Edwards. Hello, welcome to the show.
How's it going, man? Long time no see.
Yes. Brandon and I were on the Stringfellow trustee camp together, and we spent a bunch of time going back and forth to the Stringfellow unit from the trustee camp back and forth, and Brandon worked at the library and I was going back and forth for the Jewish program. So in honor of that, I thought we would talk a bit today about books and about getting books into the unit, which also involves a bit about every inmate's favorite topic, the mailroom. So, first, yes. But first, Brandon, what was it like for you working in the prison library, and maybe give people just a general idea of what the library was like?
I mean, the library is the best job you could have. 90% of the day you're either just hanging out reading, or you're restocking the shelves, fixing the shelves. Where we were at, a lot of times, anytime like our boss was there, because she was only there 2 days a week, we would go through and like figure out what the next books to order were, like what's gonna be what everyone's looking for, stuff like that, or laminating whatever she had that she wanted laminated. But when it came time to like actually running library, it could get a little we went through different processes of running the library a couple different times. So it was like, at first we had to get everyone's book for them, and you had you would have 30 people lined up or crowded around trying to figure out what book they wanted, or if we had a book that they wanted, and trying to it was hectic. It was a pain in the butt. Eventually they opened it up so that everyone just go pick their own book, and then that just had its own little level of nightmares when it came to the people that can't read very fast, that they want to check the same book out for like 2 months, and then you got the other group, the other side of the coin, where it's, I need 3 books. What do you mean I only get, at the time it was 1, and then they bumped it up to you could get 2 books, and so it was like, I need more. Give me. And then the people that would try to slide in and hit the library 2-3 times in a week, and then arguing and getting mad when the computer would tell them no, or I would tell them no. I was the library a-hole.
Yes.
Library book Nazi, library Nazi, just that library cop, whatever. It's like, do what you're supposed to do. Don't rip up the books. Don't write in the books. Don't cut anything out of the books. Don't steal the books.
And that was unbelievably popular. All of the above was you'd show me all the time, all of the people cutting and writing in the books, and because people would just find art in the book they like, and since they couldn't draw it themselves, either the nice ones would just draw hard press as hard as they could to trace it. If they were
Yeah, they would
nice about
almost
it, so
cut
you
it
could
out.
see that. Right. Using a pencil, just hard pressing it. But if people weren't even trying to draw it, they just cut it out of the book and then turned the book back in, which was
there's a lot of
too
that.
often.
Like the ones that always just like people that would just sit there and they would write, all their notes and stuff, and it's just like nobody wants to read all that. Or my favorite was people that you'd have, like a lot of some of the religious people like that would sit there and be like, if the word devil was anywhere in the book, they're erasing that or editing out cuss words, and it's just like, come on, go work in the library, go work in the mailroom. You can put it on the banned list of books. It says the F word 3 times.
Right. And last night I was actually I was talking about I was looking at the banned book list. I was trying to find out what books were on the banned book list, and I found out Goodreads actually has a Texas prisons banned book list reading list, but it's only like 30 books, so it's not the full
they don't
list.
Have that full list then.
Yeah. But it has some interesting titles, and I'm sure all of these are on the list, but it has like A Raisin in the Sun. It has, let's see, it doesn't have the 48 Laws of Power, which all Texas inmates know is banned.
Yeah.
It had Dante's Inferno,
you can have a
which
photocopy sent in,
but yeah, that was one way around it. And there was basically a lot of the books I was looking at them. A lot of them was like, a few of them were like rape survivor help guides, and like you can't have that because it details a crime, so it gets banned.
No, it has rape. There's rape in it, therefore it's banned. Right.
And then I remember one book that wasn't on the Goodreads list that I tried to get in was about a guy who was a thief who then who decided to become a rabbi. That book was banned because it talked about a guy committing a crime, so it got banned. But then I'm thinking about all of the Christian literature that had the exact same thing, but they turned into a preacher, and that makes it in just fine. Or like God's Not Dead, that I was forced to watch in the God Pod at Stringfellow, which ends in a giant car crash, which was freaking awful.
Yeah.
So sorry, spoilers on that one. But
see,
yeah,
I don't remember, like depicting crime ever being one of the reasons for being banned. It would be like if it like laid out the plans of committing a crime, it would possibly fall into that. Because like the book Cherry is about a guy who, started robbing banks to like cover his like opioid addiction and stuff, and it's written by a guy who's locked up for those crimes. And so like that one was in there. And it goes to like he's robbing in banks left and right.
Okay.
But like any
but because he never detailed how to do the crime, it didn't get banned.
Yeah, I don't remember like how much detail went into like the planning of it or anything like that. But like it was a decent book for a first-time author. But I mean like yeah, it was just, some rough stuff on, just addiction and just crazy levels of just making really dumb, like getting away with really dumb mistake trying to like rob a bank and just like somehow getting away with it anyway.
Well, and then there was a whole urban fiction drama, which I didn't even know was a genre, about like being like basically glorifying being a gangster and money, like just modern day money, sex,
Yeah.
drugs, all of that, and
Basically,
and you win.
your hip hop gangster rap in a book.
Right.
Like a lot of sex, a lot of drug dealing, uh, you know, some gang violence stuff. They're typically more geared toward like the romance section. There were some that were more like definitely more like romance than like it was. Instead of being like gangster urban, it was just like kind of more like black community urban kind of thing. Like Carl Weber. Some of those are like the Tyler Perry of urban fiction kind of deal.
I can only imagine Tyler Perry urban fiction, what that would look like.
I mean,
Medea's
it would be one of
family.
his scripts. That would fall into the category.
Yeah, I guess I could
But
definitely
then
see
you
that,
had
which is
some of the other
unfortunate.
ones that were all like it was just gang banging, beating heads, pimping, everything like that. And a couple of the ones that we had in the library were written by one of the inmates on the unit.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Like
That's awesome.
he had about 3 or 4 novels out there, like that were published and everything like that. I was just like, wait, this is you. All right, good job.
Yeah, and that the urban fiction has its own publishing companies. So yeah, I could see that's pretty awesome. That's just street cred right there, coming straight out of Stringfellow, to have that
Yeah, the
published.
urban fiction novels, like they were out all the time. Wait lists to get them. Most of the supernatural romance novels, those were always out. And then you'd have like anything like David Wong, like some of the more Brent Weeks fantasy, like sci-fi fantasy stuff, always out. And then anything with like photos, constantly out.
Oh yeah, that is true. And I also remember any graphic novels are like next to impossible to get, and it's you always hooked me up with the new ones coming in, but that was yeah,
No, I
hard to
didn't.
get. Oh, yeah, true. No, yeah,
I was
you're
checking
the
those
book
out to read them. You
police.
just snagged them out of my bunk.
Yes, exactly.
That
But
was my side hustle.
yeah,
Which books you want?
and like
Walking back with a sack of books.
and it's a good one. That's a good one to have, and I've talked about it on the show. That was the perk of having a job. It's like that every job had a perk, and you took advantage
You
of
just got
it
to figure out
because
what your hustle is.
yeah, you were
Everyone wanted my hustle to be glue and tape, but I was like, I use those. Like maybe the glue, but the tape, I'm not giving up the tape. I need that.
That's an interesting thing about hustling that people didn't like. A lot of inmates didn't quite understand, and this is why they couldn't have the jobs, like the nice premier job or cushy jobs. Didn't understand. You can make money off the job. You can find a hustle. It's
Just don't
not
try to
the
get rich.
obvious hustle, right? Don't try and get rich, and don't like if you steal everything from the place on the first day, you're gonna get fired, and you'll never be able to work in a cushy job again. The guy who gets the job is the guy who finds something that doesn't bother the boss. She might even be in on it. She might know what's going on, and like and you find a way that it works for benefits everyone. You don't go in there and immediately just take a whole big stack of paperwork or tape or pens or like very important like stuff you're going to need every day.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
especially
yeah,
don't run off with a whole packet of laminate when your boss wants you to laminate just everything and anything. I made this sign, laminate
Yeah.
it. I cut this picture out, laminate it.
Right. Yeah, that would be yeah, exactly. I mean,
And
that
leave
was the
enough
whole
room for
thing.
your coworkers to be able to hustle too. If you're stepping on everyone else's toes, like they're gonna like, you know, either help you get caught if they don't just outright like tell somebody to like, look, he's taking shit.
They will. I mean, even on the best of scenarios, they're probably going to turn on you at some point. So you have to like, you got to try and form like at least try to form allies, and try and keep them off, because sometimes they're going to be stupid. Sometimes they're going to, like, if you can get them at, like, if you can each look out for each other, awesome, amazing. It's one less person
I was blessed with like all the coworkers that I had for the library. Perfect. Martinez, Tran, and then Anderson. Great guys. That one guy they had up there for a little while, I was really glad when he never came back.
Yeah. And I remember that. It was so much, it got much calmer when he left. And
yeah, I wasn't, you know, threatening to cut him anymore. He got on my nerves to the point where like he literally came up and like I was talking crap from across the room, and he goes, "What did you say?" And I just raked the back of his hand with the back of a razor, and he was just like, I was like, "Come at me, I will cut you."
It's hard to express, like, for anyone who's had shitty coworkers, just imagine being locked in a room with a shitty coworker for several hours.
The most annoying or like just irritating person you've ever worked with, just you're stuck in. Like, hopefully as big as the library wasn't like giant, but at least it was, you know, 60 by 40, 80 by 40, maybe more.
I don't
Somewhere
know.
I have the blueprints from when we like redid everything, but I don't remember.
The library, yeah, because so that was the other thing. The library had like 4 tables out front, right? Like it had 4 tables that people could sit at inside the library. There was a block, and then there was the bar, and then there's the books behind the bar so that you or Martinez could get the books. And that's a thing a lot of people aren't going to understand.
So that was the original setup. Like when I started working there, that was the setup, because we had to get the books for everyone. And so they would have the classes come in there as a group and sit around. And so they had to have the tables there for everyone to be at. And then when they switched it over so that everyone could go in and get their own books, they kind of did away with the table system for the most part entirely. Because we moved the desk over by the door, and it was just, that's the desk, and then go get your own book and bring it here.
Like Dalhart had it set up like where you could go in and walk. There's the books on the shelves and everything.
Yeah, the open library plan.
Yeah, you were on a timer though. You had like 5 minutes. Go in, get your book. We didn't have a timer.
We had people that would be in there. So it's like, hey, like we want to go home. Like, we want to go back to the dorm and eat. Like, get a book, go. And then when they gave us that TV, yeah, that was it for any kind of work during the day. They put a TV in the library, and we were just like, not doing anything. Like, the other thing was like, we could like, so I could have, like, we would get the lists of what books got added to the banned book list, like newer releases, like every like month or whatever. We would get the list of like, these are not going to be allowed in. And so if it was a book that was already on the shelf, we could at least go and like either redact the page, like the information that was the reason to ban it, or remove the entire page and just do it that way. So we didn't have to like the book was still available. You just wouldn't have that one section. Whereas with the mailroom, you're not getting that book whatsoever. If the book was already on the shelf, we could redact like either like go through with a Sharpie and like blank out whatever the offending information was, or
Okay.
remove the whole page. Whereas if it goes through the mailroom, they just don't give you the book at all.
Yeah, they don't get, so you could potentially have a banned book in the library, but it has like something redacted in the book.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like that's like anytime that she told us that we have to pull these books and get rid of them, like we only threw books away the first time we ever did that, and then after that I was like, can I just black that out? And so she called and they're like, that's fine.
That's cool. Yeah, the librarian, I didn't see her too much, but she was awesome.
Miss Smith was live. She was good.
Yeah. And but like that yeah, so going through the mailroom and getting books was the other way you could get books, if not through the library. So having your people send you books in the mail. And like you said, if it got on the banned books list, or if it was on the banned books list, you were not getting that book, period. Now, the way it gets on the banned books list is it goes in the mailroom, and then someone from that prison's mailroom says, oh, this book shouldn't be allowed. And if you don't appeal it, it's on the banned books. It goes to the banned book list. And the other option,
a lot of the time, the mailroom will tell you to appeal it every time, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And you should always, for any inmates or families listening out there, always appeal if you can, because if you do not want your book to immediately go on the banned books list just because your mailroom won't appeal it. Will you get your book anytime soon? No. Absolutely, there is no way that is happening.
No, it's
as
a
soon
long
as your
process,
mailroom.
Because on Stringfellow, they were blocking the SI swimsuit edition, and that was an allowed issue. So you had to appeal it, and then it was I think 5 weeks, and you would get it. It would never leave the unit; it would stay there. They would just basically in Huntsville, they would look at one of the ones they have and just be like, that's fine.
Right. And there's only been one time where I've done an appeal and it actually did get turned around quickly. And I actually have it here. It is this bad boy. It was my sociology textbook, my Sociology 101 textbook. And this textbook, I mean, it's great information in this textbook. This textbook, when it arrived on the unit, it got denied.
It was in a binder.
Because as you can see, yeah, well, because it did not have these when it came in. There was no binding at all. It just came as a big thing of paper. And I appealed it, and I told them it's not paper. They said you can't receive loose leaf paper in the mail, which is in fact a rule. I'm like, but it's not loose leaf paper, it's a textbook. I'm like, why the hell would you send me a textbook as just individual pages? It's like,
because that's the cheaper option at most schools.
It is a cheaper option. And I could see being in college, just buying a binder and getting, instead of paying $300 for a textbook, paying $50 for this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good deal. But, yeah, you can't do that in prison, especially in a correspondence course. And so that kind of sucked a whole lot. And then I made the binder rings for this. And then when I had access to the furniture factory and I had access to some really good stuff, I made a pretty cool binding for the next time that happened.
That was another one of our lucrative hustles in the library, was binding books. You could bring us a stack of whatever, and between me and Martinez, we could turn that into a hardcover book from using hardcovers from books that we had already had to destroy and throw out for being just too damaged.
And that was legit. You guys made some really good hardcovers. I had learned I was doing some of the things to hardcover some of my books because, and here's another example. This bad boy. Yeah, this is just hold together by, I don't even know. These are like stickers from the mail.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
I hated whenever somebody would, like, they would bring a comic book or a magazine and be like, hey, can you fix this? And they had used either deodorant tape or anything else to, like, tape stuff together. And it was just like, don't ever use tape. It's just going to, like, it's a nightmare to take off to fix. And then it just never holds. It doesn't work. You have to have glue.
This is the fact. Yeah, the fact that this is held as long as it has, I am amazed. And it also did not hold in all of the pages. I had to eventually use glue to hold in some of the pages. And as you can see, the cover is still flying off. Like, so, yeah. And the reason I still have this book and the reason I taped it up to begin with is this was another one of my college textbooks, and it's an awesome one. It teaches you how to figure out Latin and Greek roots of words and memorize the important ones. So you can either when you hear a word for the first time, you can be like, oh, I think that you can kind of guess the definition of it, or you can just make up words using Latin and Greek, which is that's fun too. I mean, Elon Musk does it, so I might as well hang with him.
Definitely. Some of the annoying stuff that happened while I was, one of my friends, he had all but the last 2 or 3 Soul Eater mangas. And so he finally ordered the last 3, and in the interim time between those, they had banned the series.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
So it was like, but I have them. I just need those 3 to finish it. No.
They did the same thing with me for Why the Last Man. I have the whole Why the Last Man here. Last 2 were in the mail, and they banned it. And they banned it. Not only when they got mine in the mail, they banned it. They put it on the banned books list. So I was like,
some of the reasons for banning books are kind of ridiculous, because you'll see a book that's not banned, and you can skim through it, and you're just like, this is atrocious. And it's like, this is banned because of one was it described the makings of a bomb. And it's like, okay, I understand that if it's like a chemical bomb that we could possibly put something together, but it's literally dynamite, a freaking, alarm clock. And it's just like, where am I getting dynamite in prison? Come on now.
Yeah. It's, well, that, and it's also, inmates are already figuring it out. Like we had already figured out how to do a lot of the things on our own, and you can't. It's like trying to prevent us from having weapons, and also demanding that we be clean shaven all the time. Like, you can't have. If you're going to give us razors, then someone is going to use razors to cut people. Like, if that's, and so. It's one or the other, and there's going to, at some point, really, anything is going to be able to be used as a weapon. Period.
And even that's just kind of funny, because anytime the guards come in and it's like, you need, I'm going to cut this line down. Somebody give me a blade. Who's got an open blade? Give me one.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah, they don't. There have been plenty of times officers have just asked the inmates, "Hey, can someone please give me a blade to do, cut another inmate's line down who's hanging laundry." I don't think they even know what they're asking.
Hand me your contraband to cut down this contraband.
Who's going to offer that one up? I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Is Brandon, what are you up to now? What's going on with you? Or anything you want to tell people about?
Been out for 2 years. Just pretty much I'm either at home, watching movies, playing video games, started learning how to solder, so working on different electronics and stuff like that. Or I'm at work.
You can find Shakedown merch, graphic novels, and other projects at waywordpress.com. That's WAYWORD press.com. If you would like to support The Shakedown, get exclusive content, and watch episodes live, you can support us at patreon.com/The Shakedown. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment to give Malone that inner peace he so richly deserves.